Well, 6 people are displaced after a fire in Sun Prairie this morning. The Sun Prairie Fire Department responded to reports of smoke inside of a duplex. When crews got to the scene, they found an active fire in the basement. All 4 people were safely evacuated from the side of the duplex with the fire in it. The neighboring duplex with 2 residents also had to be evacuated because of the heavy smoke. And the fire chief that we spoke to on scene says it's remarkable everyone was able to get out safely.
Older homes, they don't have adequate smoke detection. We're very fortunate that people got out of the house because smoke detectors were not working.
And Sun Prairie Fire said there is extensive damage in the basement and smoke damage in the rest of the home. Right now, relatives in the area are helping those who are displaced. We don't yet know a cause of this fire.